Terrifying foot pain reveals sinister secret. Doctors haunted by the unexplainable inside. Jenna's foot throbbed so violently that it felt like fire coursing through her veins. She gripped the edge of the diner's counter, her knuckles white, fighting the urge to scream. It was 2 a.m., the quiet hours when shadows danced around a flickering neon sign outside, casting an eerie glow. The locals could only whisper tales of the Oakridge Hospital that loomed like a ghost in their suburban town, a menace lurking just beyond the edge of their pleasant lives. Jenna shivered. What if this pain was only the start of something much worse? Doctors had brushed her off, insisting her exhaustion from 2 night shifts was the main culprit behind her agony. But something felt wrong. Too many nights ended with her sprawled on the floor, shivering and gasping for breath, abandoned by the very system meant to heal. She couldn't shake the idea that this was more than fatigue. Perhaps it was connected to Oakridge Hospital, a possibility that pulled at her sanity like the deep gnawing in her foot. On that haunting night, while downing cold coffee during her break, Jenna stumbled upon an old newspaper clipping, yellowed with age and neglect. Eerie experiments at Oakridge Hospital, the headline read, detailing grotesque tales of patients trapped in a nightmare of otherworldly pain and strange disappearances. The diner's murmur faded into a low hum as she read, each line curling her stomach. What if the whispers she had begun to hear weren't just figments of her overworked mind? What if they were warnings? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue with a newly ignited fire for answers. Jenna found herself outside the gates of the old clinic where former Oakridge patients were moved. The structure loomed before her, a crumbling concrete edifice that held the ghosts of the past. A shiver ran down her spine as she felt the cold fingers of dread wrap around her heart. Echoes of pain filled the air, and as she stepped inside, shadows flickered in the corners of her vision. Were they just memories? Or something far more sinister? As days turned to weeks, Jenna discovered she wasn't alone in her horror. Each victim told a heartbreaking story of lost loved ones and nightmares that would make any parent shudder. They shared tales of darkness creeping into their lives, manifesting in ways they never saw coming. Sometimes, she could even catch fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures out of the corner of her eye. One late night, while tucking Lily into bed, the pain in Jenna's foot crescendoed to a shocking peak. Tears stung her eyes as she gasped, clutching the frame of the door. Then, a flicker caught her eye. Dark figures danced just outside the window. They whispered her name, a chilling echo that sent a jolt of ice through her veins. The realization crashed over her like a tidal wave. Her foot pain was a supernatural calling, a sinister protest tied to the very essence of suffering that predated her existence. Clutching her daughter, she could no longer avoid the horrifying truth. The forces lurking in the shadows were not only after her but could claim Lily as well. Whispers of fear bled into their home, tainting the safety she tried so hard to build. Something dark was weaving its way into their lives, and Jenna stood at the edge of a horrifying revelation. What price would she pay to shield her daughter from the shadows that seemed to stalk them? The once simple walls of their home now loomed large with a breathless urgency, waiting for her choice. One thing became painfully clear: something evil was drawing closer, and Jenna had only hours until the veil separating them from darkness could shatter completely. The walls of Jenna's home felt like they were closing in, tightening around her like a vice. Each creak of the floorboard sent a tremor of dread through her heart. She pressed her ear to Lily's bedroom door, listening, hoping for the comforting sounds of her daughter's slumber. What if those dark figures outside came creeping through the house? What if they whispered her name too loudly, too insistently? Her foot throbbed, even more painfully than before, a fiery reminder of the revelations she'd barely begun to process. The pain radiated up her leg, an ominous echo of the whispers. She stumbled back, breathing heavy, struggling to push back the darkness that clawed at the edges of her mind. Suddenly, a loud knock echoed from the front door, breaking the silence like glass shattering. Jenna's heart raced. Who could it be at this hour? Panic clawed at her throat as she crept down the hallway, every step sending jolts of agony from her foot. Could it be safety? Or a new horror waiting to unfold? The door trembled as she approached. A muffled voice came from the other side. Jenna, let me in. It's urgent. Familiar but distorted, she could recognize the tone. It was Angela, a colleague from the hospital who had first warned her about the supernatural whispers. Anguish filled Angela's words, a string of unease braided with desperation. Jenna. Please. With a shaky hand, she turned the doorknob. The door swung open. Angela stumbled inside, her face pale and drawn, flecked with splatters of darkness that looked like dried blood. Get the child. We need to leave. Angela gasped, her voice trembling. It's coming. It knows we're here. What's coming? Jenna asked, her voice barely a whisper, a mix of fear and disbelief. Angela's eyes darted toward the window as she shushed Jenna. You have to trust me. I've seen it. It's everywhere, the shadows, they're real. I thought it was just me, but it knows our names. But Jenna had heard enough. The shadows weren't just stalking Angela, they had found Jenna too. Flickers of darkness danced past her vision, taunting her. Why didn't you say anything before? She urged, trying to grasp the situation, but the truth felt like an ungraspable fog. Because I didn't believe it either. Not until I lost. Angela hesitated, a shiver of fear washing over her. The pain. Jenna, the pain is their way of calling us. It's a lure. Suddenly, a booming noise erupted outside. Distorted shouts merged with the pounding of something heavy against the ground. The shadows at the edges of the room stretched and twisted, elongating toward Jenna like limbs reaching for a long-lost prey. Lily. Jenna screamed, her heart clawing at her chest. Just the thought of losing her child sent fresh adrenaline through her veins. We need to get her. Before Jenna could take a step, the lights flickered, plunging the room into darkness. The whispered echoes grew louder, coercing and demanding, the shadows tightening their grip. And just like that, desperation gripped her heart. She turned to Angela, whose face now twisted in fear. We have to move now. But in the blur of chaos, Jenna felt the icy tendril of the darkness wrap around her foot, the horrible pain igniting like a wildfire. She staggered back, collapsing against the kitchen counter as the ground beneath her shifted, shadows roiling like smoke. Without a moment's notice, a figure loomed in the doorway behind Angela, a silhouette too familiar but twisted, the tendrils reaching for her friend with malevolence. Jenna's mouth went dry as the truth clutched her throat. It was coming for them. Run! Jenna yelled, urgency piercing through her terror as she fought through the pain to lunge toward Lily's room. But as she did, a chilling laugh sliced through the air, echoing off the walls of their once safe home. What had she brought into her life, and how could she protect her daughter from it? And just then, the whispers ceased. Join us, they hissed from the abyss, as if the very walls themselves were calling. The darkness thickened. What had started as a pain would soon transform into something much worse. And as Jenna turned, the shadows swirled closer. Would she find a way to break the cycle before her daughter was claimed? Or would they both succumb to the darkness that awaited them? Jenna's heart thundered in her chest as she pivoted toward Lily's room, the tension coiling tightly in her chest. The whispered commands now stilled for a moment, replaced by the heavy silence that felt more threatening than the noise. The damned shadows still lurked. Lily. Please, please, not now, she muttered under her breath, pain still twisting around her foot like a serpent, but she forced herself forward. Each step felt like a battle. The shadows slithered larger, menacing hands grasping at her ankles, pulling her back. She could feel them trying to drag her into their abyss. Angela, stay close. She gasped, unwilling to look back. But she could hear Angela's shaky breaths. I can't hold it back anymore. There wasn't time to process what that meant. Jenna barreled into Lily's room, desperately scanning the darkened space. The moonlight crept through the window, casting distorted shapes on the walls. There, in the corner, was her girl, nestled in her blankets, seemingly oblivious to the chaos unraveling outside her dreams. "Sweetheart. Wake up." Jenna's voice trembled, fueling the energy she didn't have. She reached out, her hand trembling as she touched Lily's shoulder. It felt too still, too calm in the midst of the storm. "Lily, it's time to go." The little girl stirred, her eyes fluttering open. "Mommy?" she whispered, her innocent mind still trapped in sleep. Jenna snatched Lily up, cradling her against her chest, breathing in the familiar scent of shampoo and safety. "We have to leave, now isn't safe." Just then, a crash echoed from the hallway as furniture toppled over, a dark shape darting past the doorframe, pulsing with chaos. In a panic, Jenna's eyes darted toward Angela, who stood paralyzed in the doorway, her face drained of color. "What do you mean you can't?" Jenna screamed, feeling rage swell with fear. "We don't have time for this. I can feel it coming. It's watching us." Angela's voice cracked, her eyes glassy and distant, as if she were witnessing horrors beyond their dimension. Jenna ripped her gaze from her friend and pressed against the doorframe, ready to escape, when the air thickened, pressing down on her like a weight. The shadows pulsed and shifted, creating a dark vortex just beyond her sight. "Mommy," Lily whimpered, clutching Jenna's shirt tightly, her big eyes wide with unfathomable terror. "Not now, sweetie," Jenna urged, her voice shaking. But the shadows wouldn't listen, and neither would time. Then, a high-pitched shriek pierced through the house. The sound belonged to the darkness, sending chills cascading down Jenna's spine. Every instinct told her to run, but fear kept rooting her in place, as she felt the shadows tug harder, now claiming her foot completely. "No." she grunted, her voice nearly swallowed by static. "Angela, we have to go now." With a sudden jolt, Angela moved, stumbling toward the chaos, her eyes widened in horror. "It's too late. We can't outrun it." The shadows shrieked in chorus, their whispers unraveling into something coherent, a chant, resonant and chilling. "Surrender to the void, join us." Jenna felt icy fingers curl around her throat, clenching tightly. The echoes of her daughter's heartbeat pulsed against her ear, drowning out the laughter that converged around them. It wasn't just the pain anymore. It was the realization that the darkness knew them, that it hungered for them. No longer just a whisper, it was a demand, an ultimatum. "Jenna! Fight it!" Angela screamed as Jenna took a step back, panic blaring in her mind. "Fight it for Lily!" The shadows grew louder, suffocating her every thought. She could feel herself being pulled, every thread of her existence unraveling. What if she could break free? In a moment of desperation, Jenna squeezed Lily tighter, turning toward the disoriented Angela. "We can't let it take us. We have to fight." But suddenly, the shadows swirled intensely around them, a black cyclone drawing them into its center. "Join," they chanted, the voices growing louder, drowning everything else out, but something deep within Jenna surged a primal instinct to protect her daughter at all costs. And then, she felt something shift inside her. Would it be enough? As the very walls groaned, seemingly ready to swallow them whole, Jenna readied herself for a confrontation unlike any other. "Stay close, Lily." But as dark laughter erupted all around, she realized the fight was about to begin against something insatiable, something far worse than she ever imagined. Could they escape the darkness that sought to encase their very souls? Jenna's grip tightened around Lily as the shadows lunged, stretching and clawing, like grotesque puppets eager for a puppet master. She felt the slick dread pooling in her stomach, an icy weight that threatened to snap her focus. "Hold on, sweetheart," she whispered, the words barely escaping her lips. The walls trembled, vibrating with laughter that echoes back at them, and Jenna's resolve wavered. She could feel the looming darkness, thick and suffocating, wrapping around her like a shroud, intent on pulling them under. "We can't let it win," she shouted over the howling wind, her voice cracking. Angela, now shaking to the bone, barely held her ground, eyes darting about as if pinned to an unrevealed horror, perhaps something worse than they could comprehend. "It knows us, it knows what we fear." She clutched her head as if it could block out the horror unraveling around them. The shadows morphed into a figure tall, thin, its shape almost human, but unnaturally contorted. It stretched toward them, arms outstretched, as if to embrace them in its dark, suffocating aura. Jenna felt contempt stirring within her. She wasn't ready to quit. "Lily, close your eyes," she commanded, blocking out the dark figure as best as possible, but the voices grew louder. "Join us, surrender." The warnings became a cacophony, resonating within the very core of the house as Jenna staggered backward, desperate to find an escape, desperate for clarity. She glanced back at her daughter, Lily's eyes wide and frightened yet somehow understanding the peril they faced. "Mommy, it's so cold," Lily whispered, her voice trembling. The room shifted, a dizzying whirl of shadow and light, and the shadows closed in, suffocating. Jenna felt fear claw at her, but the small spark of maternal instinct ignited a fire within her. "We are not afraid," she shouted, gritting her teeth, and began to step forward. In that moment, the shadows hesitated, faltering as if uncertain. Jenna took another step, eyes locked on the howling maw of darkness. "We are strong. You can't take us." Her voice, a powerful declaration in the face of despair, seemed to cut through the darkness, causing it to recoil, if only slightly. Then the distorted figure lunged again with renewed vigor, an arm-like mass snaking towards them, but Jenna was ready this time. "Lily, hold my hand. Now." She pulled her daughter closer, shoving her forward, pushing against the encroaching mass, yet, for each movement, there was an equal pull of darkness, as if the shadows conspired with an overwhelming force, defeating every ounce of will she fought to muster. Jenna felt herself beginning to drift, her grip failing. Angela screamed beside her, a gut-wrenching sound that filled the air with panic. "Fight it!" she shouted, though her own conviction wavered. Shadows blanketed Angela, swallowing the last glimpse of her friend, casting her into a dark abyss. "Angela!" Jenna screamed, but the shadows howled back with glee, feasting on her fear. Suddenly, Lily began to shake her head. "I can hear it, Mommy, it wants me." Her small voice, though trembling, was imbued with an unexpected strength. "I want to let it take you." "Lily, you don't understand," Jenna started, but her daughter's eyes blazed in defiance. "No!" Lily yelled, her resolve firming their bond like a shield against the shadows. "We're not going with you." With a resounding clarity, something swirled around them, an energy that transformed fear into boldness. The shadows, sensing the shift, recoiled momentarily. "Fight back!" Lily cried, raising her small hand. Jenna felt the pressure of the shadows loosening, even if just for a heartbeat, but in their moment of defiance, the dark figure screamed, a horrible wail that shook the very foundation of the house. "You will join us. This is just the beginning." Jenna clenched her teeth, sensing the urgency of time slipping through her fingers. "Lily, we have to get out." But rather than fear, she felt a tingle of something else, a call to action deeper than just survival. What truth had awakened within them? Would they break free, or would they succumb to the darkness? And then, as shadows circled once more eager and relentless, Jenna realized that this confrontation had only begun. A choice lay ahead: face the shadows that knew their fears, or flee and risk everything. The frantic energy surged again, and in that pulse of light and darkness converging, they braced for the choice that would decide everything, a split second determining their fate in an ever-thickening darkness. As the floor beneath them trembled, Jenna knew one thing: they were far from done battling the shadows. What hidden truths lay in wait, waiting to be dragged from the depths? The shadows pulsed, a living darkness pushing and pulling at Jenna and Lily. The howl of the wind morphed into a menacing choir, luring them further into despair. Each breath tasted stale, laden with the weight of fear and failure that wrapped around them like a vice. "We have to go," Jenna managed, forcing her feet to move, but the floor seemed glued beneath her. Lily held tight to Jenna's hand, her small fingers surprisingly firm, grounding her against the chaos. "Mommy, it's getting worse." Lily's voice cracked, pure fear igniting her eyes. As they staggered forward, more figures appeared in the shadows, twisted faces contorting in agony and malice. Former residents of the house. Lost souls. They reached out, their hands clawing at the air, grasping for something, anything to pull them back into the dark embrace. Jenna felt bile rise in her throat. "Stay close, sweetheart. Just keep moving." The stench of mold and rot amplified, as if the walls themselves were sweating terror, dripping dread onto the floor. With every step, Jenna could feel the chill seep deeper into her bones, whispering secrets of pain and sorrow. Shadows stretched and clawed like desperation itself, pricking at their heels, threatening to devour them whole. Suddenly, a piercing scream sliced through the air. "Get out! Get out!" It was Angela's voice, a desperate plea, echoing her last moments. Shadows convulsed and twisted, seemingly alive with her torment, but nobody was there to respond. Jenna's heart raced, pumping adrenaline hotly through her veins, but fear bred fear as uncertainty gnawed at her mind. "Mommy, look!" Lily pointed, and her finger trembled towards a flickering light in the distance, like a beacon fighting against an approaching storm. "We can go there. We can make it." "Maybe it's a trap," Jenna whispered, doubt gnawing at her. "Or maybe it's our only chance." The choice settled heavy on her chest, and with every word, the shadows vomited forth despair, aching to claw them back into obscurity. "Remember those stories we read? Light banishes the dark." Lily shouted, stubbornly insisting. Even through her terror, a flame flickered in her spirit. "We can't listen to them." Taking a deep breath, Jenna squinted at the shimmering light. It pulsed, almost like it had a heartbeat of its own, coaxing her to take that leap of faith. "Okay, Lily, hold on tight." The shadows lunged again, a roaring wave aimed to swallow them whole. The figures of the damned blurred into one wretched entity, each face a mask of fear, regret, and despair, merging into a single scream of loss and anger. With renewed determination, Jenna sprinted towards the light, dragging Lily behind her. She felt her heart pounding in tandem with the shadows closing in. "Keep running." The walls rattled like they were alive, vibrating in response to the tension growing in the air around them. The glow grew brighter as they barreled towards it, the shadows shrieking more intensely. It felt like a hand from beyond, stretching out to pull them in, offering safety from the darkness. Just as they nearly reached the light, shadows surged forward, wrapping around Jenna's ankle, pulling her down. "No!" She cried out, ripping her foot free, and with a visceral roar, she lunged towards the shimmering pulse, but in that heartbeat, time twisted. The light flickered, sputtered, and Jenna felt a blow against her back, sending both her and Lily crashing to the floor. Jenna gasped, pain blooming across her chest. The light flickered again, revealing anguished faces just beyond a grotesque, shifting mass formed by her darkest nightmares, weaving into the fabric of their reality. "Mommy!" The terror in Lily's voice shattered through the chaos. Lily scrambled next to her, but the shadows gathered like an army, threatening to engulf their last desperate stand. They squeezed each other tight, staring into the growing darkness, hearts racing as dread filled the crack in their resolve. In that paralyzing moment, Jenna knew they had to make one last effort. "We need to connect," she shouted. "We need to fight together." As they held tightly, a feeling of warmth flickered through them, battling the creeping cold. Would it be enough? Suddenly, they released their fears, their pain, and screamed, "We will not be yours." The energy surged around them, rippling against the advancing darkness, but would it hold? Or was it merely a desperate last grasp before the abyss? The shadows hesitated, this scream of defiance echoing, but barely. What would it take for the darkness to truly break? As they fought to hold on to their bond, the air crackled with an uneasy tension. Did they dare hope? And in that moment of uncertainty, as terror loomed larger than ever, Jenna felt a shift. But what lay beyond, waiting just out of reach? Would the light swallow the darkness, or would they be consumed in its relentless grasp? The ground shook as if the house itself was a living thing, groaning in response to their defiance. Shadows wavered, hesitating for just a moment, but that moment felt like a decade. Jenna clung to Lily, her heart thundering like a war drum in her chest. "Don't look away. Keep your eyes on the light," she urged as the walls pulsed with an otherworldly energy. The air around them vibrated with a cacophony of tortured screams and desperate howls slowly fading into silence. The flickering light glowed brighter, luring them closer with an intensity that braided warmth and hope against the encroaching cold. Jenna could see shapes forming within its spectral silhouettes dancing just out of reach, their faces serene and welcoming, a stark contrast to the chaos just a breath away, but could they trust it? The fear clawed at her throat, a question hanging above their heads like a guillotine. She dug her nails into Lily's palm, feeling the little girl's pulse, steady yet fragile. "We can't stop now," Jenna gasped between panting breaths. Suddenly, the darkness erupted, shadows twisting into grotesque figures that reached out with thin, bony fingers. They shrieked, an army of tormented souls, relentless in their hunt. Panic exploded inside Jenna. She had to protect Lily at any cost. "Run!" Jenna screamed, pushing herself up, feeling the burn sharpen in her legs as she pulled Lily along. Each rushed step felt heavier, like trying to run in water, the shadows grasping at her ankles, swirling and tugging with the insistence of drowning hands. The light blinked, brighter and steadier now. "Just a little further." Jenna encouraged, her voice cracking under the weight of terror. Lily stumbled but quickly regained her balance, determination flickering in her eyes. "I can't stop. I want." They lunged forward, the light reaching out, cradling them with an almost palpable warmth. But as they crossed the threshold, Jenna felt a hand grip her shoulder, icy and heavy, dragging her back. "No. Mommy!" Lily cried out, and Jenna's heart threatened to fracture at the sound. Jenna's pulse thundered in her ears as she twisted, her fingers clawing at the darkness, desperate to break free. "I want to leave you. I want to." But the shadows laughed, a ghastly sound that echoed through the space, gnashing their teeth, a chorus of anguish. They pulled Jenna deeper, and in the swirl of darkness, her mind raced. 1,000 images flashed before her, every failure, every wound, every moment she thought she'd lost, all clawing their way to the surface. In that whirlwind of despair, she remembered the tales of old, the power of belief, the strength of love. "Lily, fight! Fight with me!" she shouted, desperation twisting her voice. Trembling together, they closed their eyes and reached for each other. "We will break this. We will not let them win." The connection surged between them, pulsating like a heartbeat, just as the shadows slithered and coiled like serpents, striking at their resolve, trying to seep into their minds, sapping their strength. The light began to shift, wrapping around them like a protective barrier. But just as hope flickered in Jenna's chest, a figure emerged from the swirling dark. It was Angela, her face twisted in torment, eyes wild with confusion and rage. "You think you can escape?" she howled, and the darkness responded with a surge, pressing down harder, a weight threatening to crush Jenna and Lily into oblivion. "Angela!" Jenna gasped, recognizing the anguish in her friend's eyes. There was more than just terror, there was a story buried beneath the hatred. "Please, we can help you." But could they? And what if she wasn't herself anymore? As Jenna's voice echoed into the abyss, the spectre's face contorted. "Help! Help!" Angela mocked, laughter tinged with madness spilling into the air like poison. "You cannot help the damned. You are just as lost, just as trapped." Lily shrieked, "No. We will get out. We will." Her voice broke, cutting sharply through the oppressive weight of despair. The warmth surged again, pushing against the darkness as they fought, an energy that felt like life itself. But now it was becoming clear, Jenna could see the fine line between hope and despair wavering dangerously close. Lily, hold on. Together. Jenna yelled, but even as she shouted, she felt the shadows whip around them like a noose, tensions rising with an impending snap. Would they be ripped apart, tangled in the dark? As Angela lunged forward, the air crackled with malevolence, leaving them unsure if the encroaching darkness would swallow them whole or if the light was strong enough to bend reality itself. And at that moment, Jenna realized there was a truth hidden within the darkness that she had not yet uncovered. Lily! Jenna shouted, what if the answer lies within the fear? But what if understanding the darkness meant facing the worst parts of herself? Would she be willing to uncover that truth at the risk of losing everything? The darkness thrummed around them, an oppressive force that sought to steal every ounce of hope. As Angela charged, her eyes wide and frenzied, Jenna felt the very fabric of her reality begin to shred. The shadows writhed in excitement, tasting their fear, celebrating the chaos of minds unraveled. Jenna's heart raced as she faced the specter, familiar yet terrifying. Angela! Jenna cried again, but the anger clearly outweighed the bond they once shared. The thing that wore Angela's face was a mask of gnarled memories, pricked with resentment and venom. We can save you! Lily shouted, her voice trembling yet fierce, a beacon refusing to dim. But Angela recoiled, her laughter turning rolling and chilling, echoing through the cavernous shadows. You think you can change fates? There are things we are too weak to confront. The ground quaked beneath them as an unseen force surged. Jenna felt it a splintering in the air as if the very house was mourning their presence. Every attempt to fight back felt feeble against the weight of inevitability. The shadows coiled tighter, longing to suffocate her and snatch Lily away. They were losing. The glow of the light flickered, then dimmed, and with it, so did Jenna's resolve. We have to face her. Jenna shouted, her voice cracking under the strain. Trembling, she turned back to Lily, desperate eyes locking on her daughter's. Whatever happens, we stay together. With resolve hardening inside her, Jenna pressed forward against the tide of darkness. Angela, she said, her voice steadier now, I know you're in there. We remember you. The real you. The figure faltered, momentarily caught in the remnants of the past. Jenna seized the opportunity. Remember the summer at the lake? The way we laughed? It's still there, Angela. You can fight. The shadows receded for an instant, revealing a glimmer of humanity in Angela's eyes, a flicker of recognition. But then, just as soon as it came, it vanished. The laughter returned, now mingled with cries that seemed to claw from beyond the veil. Jenna felt her very bones shudder under the weight of despair. Angela surged forward again, eyes ablaze. You think we can escape? Look around. This is our prison. Jenna's breath caught. No. This is not who we are. She felt Lily's tiny hand gripping hers, steady and bright. Mom! The light! Lily yelled, gesturing with fevered focus. Jenna's gaze darted to the remaining brightness, almost extinguished. Fight, Lily. Show her the truth. Fight together, for every memory of joy. They joined hands tightly, drawing upon each other's strength. We know you, Angela. We are still here, and we will fight together. Jenna shouted, her voice echoing against the shadows. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled, and the light surged back to life, cascading warmth all around them. Angela's laughter faltered, panic creeping into her gaze as she staggered back, shadows writhing in retreat. I can't hold them back. She screamed, the illusion of power slipping. Behind them, the specter-clad shadows writhed, clawing at Angela, desperate to drag her back into the depths from which she emerged. Jenna and Lily pushed forward, forcing their way closer to the turbulent light. Remember us. Lily cried, her small voice shattering through the chaos. Fight. We can pull you back. Jenna implored, tugging Lily closer to the whirlwind of hope, but as they reached out, a final cry erupted from Angela's lips, filled with rage and despair. "You will join us." And in that very moment, the world around them fractured, a split that etched itself in time, blurring the lines between light and dark. With a blinding flash, the connection between them pulsed with a fierce intensity, and terror coiled around them once more. The shadows shrieked, a deafening crescendo that drowned out reason. They were almost there, almost free, but the very essence of dread thickened in the air, pressing inwards with unforgiving weight. Could they save their friend without becoming consumed themselves? Could they truly face whatever dark truths lurked beneath the surface? Jenna's mind raced, her heart pounding as the final cry echoed, and a question surged within: what darkness truly held Angela captive, and would they even recognize it if they found it? The silence shattered as they plunged into an abyss of chaos, swallowed by an insatiable dark hunger. Jenna and Lily clung to each other, the light flickering around them, barely holding the shadows at bay. An icy wind whirled through the space, and Jenna felt a frigid touch crawl up her spine. "It's not just the darkness," Lily whimpered, her voice small against the rumbling tides of despair. "It's what's in it." Jenna's stomach twisted. What could be lurking beyond the pitch? The air pulsed with a malevolence, twisting her thoughts into knots. "Stay close, Lily," she barked. Every ounce of her being screamed for them to escape, but salvation lay tantalizingly beyond their reach. Angela's voice strangled and pained resonated through the silence. "You think love can save me? I am beyond saving." Her words dripped with venom, each syllable a dagger to their hopes. The shadows thrummed in agreement, closing in with a collective shudder. "No!" Jenna shouted again, desperation fueling her. "You're not beyond saving, Angela. Fight back. Remember the campfire? The stars? The stories we told? You loved those." The shadows hissed, a cacophony that surged like boiling water. They swirled menacingly, sharpening into jagged forms that leapt toward them. Jenna threw her arms protectively around Lily, but the encroaching figures were relentless. The light around them flickered, teetering on the edge of total darkness. With every ounce of courage she had left, Jenna faced the horror before them. "Whatever is holding you, Angela, you can break free. You don't have to give in." A shriek tore through the void, louder than any voice, echoing with a haunting familiarity. It stole Jenna's breath. That cry, it had been Angela's, but twisted, ripped apart by something vile lying beneath her surface. "Stop!" Lily cried, clutching her ears. "Make it stop, Mom." But Jenna couldn't tear her gaze away. Dark tendrils snaked out from the writhing shadows, reaching for Angela's terrified visage. Panic surged as she realized they were feeding off her doubt, her fear. "Angela!" Jenna screamed, her heart racing. "You are not your pain. You are more than this. Fight it." For an instant, Angela's face cracked, revealing vulnerability beneath the malevolent mask. A fragment of the light glimmered in her eyes, dancing between anguish and hope. It was fleeting, but it was there. "Help me," she whispered, before the shadows surged back with a vengeance. They wrapped around her, forcing her back into the darkness, pulling her further from their reach. "No!" Jenna lunged forward, unable to resist the magnetic pull of desperation. "I refuse to lose you, Angela." But the shadows roared, a chorus of wrathful voices blending into one. "You cannot save what is already lost." The ground shook violently beneath their feet, and Jenna feared the fabric of their reality was about to tear apart. They were not just battling a creature of darkness. They were facing something deeper, a collective fear that swirled around Angela, binding her within. Jenna could see it now, could feel it clawing at her own mind, a profound sadness, a sense of worthlessness darkened by the shadows' whisperings. Suddenly, a vision struck her, a memory that shone like lightning in the storm. The promise. Jenna gasped, grasping at the fraying threads of the past. "We promised each other we'd never let go. We made that pact by the fire." Lily's eyes lit with understanding. "That's it, Mom," she shouted. We need to remind her. Let us bring back the promise. An unsteady flicker ignited within the shadows, and for the first time, the unspeakable darkness seemed to waver. The bond they shared flickered, destined to either shatter or expand beyond the limits of fear. With all the strength she could muster, Jenna steadied her voice, unleashing the raw emotion buried deep within her. Angela, if you can hear me, remember the night we promised we'd always be there for each other. We can't let this darkness claim you. But as the echoes of her voice reverberated through the air, Jenna felt a cold wind sweep past them, ushering in yet another wave of despair. Remembering or forgetting, a voice hissed, both can be a prison. Tremors of doubt settled in Jenna's stomach like a stone. What were the strings she was tugging on? Would they lead to salvation or deeper into a trap they couldn't escape? The shadows charged, and the light weakened. Would they haunt the tether they tried to pull together? As the darkness blurred their vision, Jenna realized they were about to discover what truly lay at the heart of corruption. But would they find Angela's terror, or would they unearth their own hidden fears along the way? The darkness thrummed, vibrating with hunger. Jenna gripped Lily tighter, her heart racing as she felt the shadows encroach. Every instinct screamed for her to run, but the fear rooted her in place. Stay with me, Lily. Don't look away. She urged, a surge of panic rising in her throat. The whispers swirled around them, wrapping around Jenna's mind like a vice. They spoke of failures and regret, each syllable a jagged knife in her psyche. You're just as weak as Angela, a voice taunted, echoing her insecurities. You think love is enough? It will be the end of you too. No. Jenna shouted back, feeling the weight of the darkness pressing down. We will break through this together. A flicker of light bloomed in her chest, a memory of their lives slashed by chaos but threaded with warmth. Jenna fought against the tightening shadows, forcing her thoughts toward Angela. Remember the campfire, Angela? Remember the warmth? Remember us? Angela's voice broke through the cacophony. If I can't escape this, do I even want to? Jenna felt a stifling chill at those words. Was this truly Angela speaking, or something deeper, something determined to keep her trapped? No. Your worth is beyond this pain. You are not just a reflection of your hurt. But the shadows roared, more furious than ever. With every chant, they dragged Angela further into their abyss. You're worthless. Embrace the darkness. There's nothing left for you. Jenna fought against the despair clawing at her. Lily, hold on tight. We're not leaving her. With a shriek, she ran forward, slipping past the tendrils, feeling them scrape against her skin like icy fingers. Angela's face flickered before her, outwardly tormented but inside wrestling with her own demons. I'm afraid. What if I can't? Then let us help you remember. Jenna shouted, desperate. We made a vow. We'd always fight, always choose each other. The shadows shrieked, as if the very idea of hope was blasphemy. They lunged forward, choking out the flickering light that had begun to flare in Angela's eyes. Jenna could feel it, the fear infecting her heart. What if her voice wasn't enough? What if they lost everything? No, Jenna gasped, as the shadows constricted around her, squeezing the hope from her chest. The air turned thick, suffocating, and she felt the darkness clawing at the very essence of her being. And then, the ground beneath them gave way. A sinkhole of despair opened, a gaping maw that threatened to swallow them whole. It yawned wider, and Jenna felt herself being pulled back towards it. Mom! Lily's panicked voice broke through, and Jenna turned. In that moment, she locked eyes with her daughter, the light of her love cutting through the dark. There was strength in that gaze, an unwavering resolve. Don't let go. Jenna shouted, summoning every ounce of their shared energy. We have to hold on to each other. Hold on to the promise. Fight the pain. The shadows recoiled, trembling at the surge of unified defiance. The flickering light blossomed, pushing back the encroaching darkness. But the ground continued to rumble and quake, the chaos around them vibrating with a newfound intensity. Angela! Jenna screamed again, her voice echoing in the vastness. Remember who we are. We're here. We want to let you go. But as the darkness rippled around them, Jenna realized the truth: they weren't just fighting for Angela, they weren't just battling the shadows. This was a fight for their own souls too, a fierce battle against their own fears and regrets. A jagged shock of pain suddenly pierced through the layers of emotions, pulling Jenna's focus. A sharp sting radiated from her ankle, tying back to memories she never wanted to relive. She stumbled, gasping as flashes of old wounds surfaced, and the ground beneath her feet shattered. What is happening? She cried, feeling trapped within the very fears she had tried to suppress. The darkness laughed, echoing her fear. As the abyss yawned wider, uncertainty clawed at Jenna's throat. Could they truly fight this darkness? Or were they destined to repeat the cycle of despair? In that critical moment, the shadows twisted violently, and the very fabric of reality seemed to rip apart. The pull was undeniable, dragging them deeper into the void. Would they find Angela before it was too late? Or was the darkness closing in on them as well, ready to swallow their last remnants of hope? Jenna felt the frantic chaos swirling around her, darkness constricting with a deafening roar. Her heart raced, pounding against her ribs like a wild creature desperate for escape. She clutched Lily tighter, focusing on their bond woven through love and fear, a tapestry that no darkness could ever fully unravel. We won't back down. She shouted against the shadows that snarled and twisted like a pack of hungry wolves. As the ground quaked beneath them, Jenna poured every ounce of her energy into the light flickering at her chest, refusing to surrender to the howling darkness surrounding them. Angela! You have to fight. Remember us. In her mind, memories of laughter and warmth flew by, but she needed more than just recollection. She needed belief, strength, and unity. The shadows, darker and more twisted than before, wriggled forward, hungry to devour what remained of their defiance. But as Jenna stood firm, she locked eyes with Lily, her daughter's gaze steady and fierce. Jenna summoned her love for Lily and the unyielding hope it instilled in her. Remember the campfire? The promises we made? Jenna felt the warmth radiating from her daughter, a beacon to chase away the cold and despair clinging to their hearts. Yes. Lily yelled, her small voice cutting through the noise like a knife. We promise to never let go. It struck Jenna then, the beauty of that vow. They had promised to face darkness together. Drawing strength from Lily's small yet mighty resolve, Jenna felt her heart swell. Angela, we need you. Don't let the shadows take your spirit. The figure that was once her friend staggered, caught in the turbulence between despair and defiance, anguish glittering in her crimson eyes. You don't understand, Angela gasped, her twisted face revealing the pain swirling inside her. For just an instant, her true self gleamed through the veil of darkness, one of love, friendship, and shared memories. Then let us remind you. Jenna roared as the shadows writhed around them, pushing back with renewed fury. You're stronger than this. Fight it. Remember who you are. With each word, the darkness flickered, hesitating at the edges as if it were afraid of their unified strength. The palpable connection between mother and daughter surged, wrapping around them like a lifeline, pulling energy from the depths of despair. Please. Lily cried, we can save you. Tears gathered in her eyes as she fearlessly called out to Angela. You can choose love, not this pain. The shadows fell back as a clash of light and dark erupted in their midst. Raising her hands, Jenna commanded the shadows to listen. You're not real. The pain doesn't define us. Love does. And just like that, something shifted. Memories burst forth like fireworks, the sound of laughter, the warmth of shared moments lighting the profound darkness with flickering brightness. Jenna felt it lift them up, fueling their defiance deep inside. Fight, Angela. Jenna yelled, remember the joy, the laughter. We're not leaving you behind. In that moment, with heartbeats sinking, they joined forces, Jenna, Lily, their love, and Angela's flickering spirit. Something crackled in the air, thrumming with power as the bond of unity began to weave through the shadows. It caught the attention of the dark figure, which twisted in fury. "No!" it screamed, as the light surged stronger, bright and fierce, devouring the malevolence that had ensnared Angela's spirit. Jenna felt the walls of despair tremble, quaking beneath the power rising from their unwavering trust in each other. With a final push of determination, Jenna fought against the diabolical darkness, locking her gaze on Angela. "We will not leave you." In that moment of pure connection, beats of anger and fear collided, forming a triumph of resilience. A bright light erupted between them, a dazzling star of hope that burst through the darkness, erasing what sought to ensnare them, and then, everything changed. The dark figure howled in defeat as the veil of shadows ripped apart, dissolving into a mist. Jenna felt Angela and the shadows withdraw from their grasp. Hope poured forth like a waterfall, erasing the terror, cleansing every memory of pain lingering in their hearts. The overwhelming weight was gone, they were free. Gasping, Jenna and Lily stood together briefly, then stumbled forward, reaching for Angela. Their friend's eyes, no longer full of torment, gleamed with tears of relief, confusion, and something deeper, a flicker of the joy they had once shared. "Together," Jenna whispered, as she and Lily held on to Angela's trembling hands. The darkness receded, the shadows collapsing into nothingness as hope anchored their spirits. "We'll make it through this." The remnants of fear dissolved in a warm embrace of light and life. Every heartbeat carried echoes of laughter, whispered promises, and love shared between the three of them, and as the world around them shifted into something bright and new, Jenna realized the power of facing what's hidden in shadows. Fear might come again, but now, they had courage woven into the fabric of their hearts, a bond fashioned and forged in the darkest of times. With one last powerful breath, they stepped forward, leaving the echoes of the past behind, ready to reclaim their lives anew. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. It really makes a difference. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.